Hello, it's day 325 in my hardcore Minecraft game, World D, and I have just been spending some time terraforming. Oh, I see I got a pillaging group coming up behind me. That's interesting because I was going to talk about that. I'm getting closer to taking on the buff of destroying a pillaging group. Not yet though. This is the end of my garden strings. The pumpkins in this fence will represent the last stage of garden that I'm building. But for the most part, I've just been terraforming and removing blocks to use underground to fill tunnels and stuff. I'm creating a bee area just by replanting trees amongst flowers until eventually they spawn a beehive. And you can see I've got 3 going. I'll remove those birch trees and replant, and hopefully they'll get beehives as well. And then I'll start recovering some honeycomb. My original layout, I'm going to be moving the animals out of this area. I want to keep a couple handy, so I'll make smaller corrals, probably over to the side on this end. As I mentioned in previous previous videos, that I want to spawn a raid, a hardcore raid, 7 levels, over top my village. The raiding group won't have access to the village, but for instance, if I was to kill those pillagers over there and get the buff, I would have already triggered a raid because my village is underground, level 50 underground. The village bell is directly below this flag. Just going to turn some sounds on here. Friendly creatures are turned way down. If I turn them up a little bit, we will probably be able to hear them underneath there. Yeah, you can hear my villagers in the background. So my room is quite large. It's down a few layers. And as I mentioned also in previous videos, I'm planning on building a structure here. I call it a military structure, but it's basically a structure that I can run a defense. And what I've been doing this morning is testing TNT. So this is a TNT block that was placed 1 layer down underground, covered with the soil, sitting against the stone. Some of this was once lake, so I had forgotten that a lot of this is actually filled in soil from when I was filling in the lake. But this was a test I did. So I want to learn more about how TNT reacts. So I just basically built a single layer down redstone circuit to the TNT block and just set it off by hand. So it was just ahead of us there, and this was the result. So I could incorporate that into my structure, several traps, and when the 7th wave of the raid, oh, you see cats are appearing on the surface too because the village is so close. When I trigger the raid, they're going to come wander into this area. At least that's what's happened in previous games that I've played this way. And I used to just hit them with archery, but now I'm thinking I could actually save some TNT traps for the final wave and then destroy the area. But I wanted to know how far down underground TNT would penetrate because I don't want it to destroy my village at the same time. It's actually getting quite close. So the roof of my village underground is layer 54, and I'm standing on 59, so there's a few more to go yet. But I'm thinking if multiple charges go off, it'll penetrate even deeper. And the reason I think that is because I actually did a test over here where I laid out 9, a 3x3 pattern of TNT, and did the same thing. Laid in redstone along here to 9 that were sitting on the surface of, well, not on the surface, but I basically dug a little tunnel in and set them at equal height of the surface, and it created a huge cavern above and below. In any case, I think it's beneficial to have at least one, because a raiding group focusing on trying to get to the bell, is actually quite tight. They don't separate too farther than just this single explosion. But several that might survive the explosion would be trapped down layers, so which would make them easier to target as well. Anyway, just thought I'd do a kind of like an update. My mob farm is performing well. I still have troubles with Endermen taking out soil stones once in a while and letting light in, but it hasn't become such a nuisance as it was earlier. And you can see I've also terraformed around the base of it, so now even more of it is showing. But I have to maintain that I still got about 10 villagers to heal. And zombie villagers are still dropping, mostly during the daytime when mobs can't spawn at night on top, so that increases how many generate in the farm during the day. Oh, I got puffer fish in my fishing pond, so you can't step too close so they attack you. I also put my lanterns into the roof because I didn't like the effect I had of having them hang in the hallway. So guess what happened? I had enough room for gnomes to spawn. So once I'm done creating villagers and I get rid of my rail track, I will solve that problem by probably shrinking the roof down so that it can't do that in the area of the village. Got mostly toolsmiths. I still don't have very many armorers. I want to get a couple more armorers to see if I can get some diamond armor. When you get them to master level, they start producing diamond armor, and I'd like a variance of what kind of buffs are on that armor so I can do combining and create more advanced armor. Alright, that's it for this one.